Racktime again. We're trying out the Boss GX700 preamp. If you're a fan of analog rack preamps, then maybe you don't have the Boss GX700 because it's a pure digital preamp. But this preamp sounds great, and it's also very often overlooked as an effects unit because it has an effects loop and you can run it in the 4-cable method with a tube head which has an effect loop. Please check out my video about that 4-cable method. I'm using this GX700 with my PV655. Works great because, as you may know, the 655 doesn't have that really pristine clean tones, so it has everything else, crunch and great beats, but for cleans I like to turn off the preamp of the PV, and other than that, for the starter tones I like to use the PV preamp, and for that the 4-cable method is perfect. For those of you who don't know about the 4-cable method, it's basically you're entering the preamp of your amplifier in the effects loop of your effects unit, and then you can program the effects unit. And some presets you have the preamp, you're using the preamp of your amplifier, and some effects presets you don't use it for, maybe for clean sounds. Anyway, but today I would like to show you how this thing sounds as a preamp, because it has a dedicated preamp section with some amp simulations. As you may know, it's a little bit old, this thing. It's maybe from the 90s, I think. But we will check out how it sounds. So I'm using today the GX700 in the return of my Bugera G5. So it's a small tube preamp, 5-watt tube preamp, and that goes into Marshall 4x12 cabinet with windage 30 speakers, mic with an S57. But so the power amp section of this Bugera amp is just just using for powering the amp. It doesn't affect the sound as much. Of course, it's affecting the sound a little bit, but anyway, we don't use the preamp of the amplifier. We're just using the preamp simulation of this Boss effects unit. And in short, this GX700 has effects. It has modulation effects like chorus, phaser. It has delay. It has tremolo, reverb, 3-band parametric EQ, or not parametric, maybe more or less parametric, compressor, wah, overdrive section, and the preamp section. And the overdrive section is a little bit special because it's, as far as I know, it's the original circuits from the Boss pedals. So it has the vintage overdrive, it has the turbo overdrive, blues driver, and distortion, turbo distortion, a metal distortion, and a fuzz. And currently I'm using the vintage overdrive, and in the preamp section I'm using a preamp which is called Metal 5150, which is maybe the there try to modeling the 5150. Let's turn off the delay, and that is the sound. I dialed in this sound before. I'm using the EQ just to take off or take out some of the 1.2 K without the EQ engaged. Sounds much better. Try out the reverb. Well, that sounds like shit. It's a Hall 1, Hall 2. The thing with the reverb is usually I like to cut it by adjusting at the highs. So let's see. It has a high cut, so let's set it to 2K. Sounds way better to me. And let's reduce it a little bit. Usually I like to use a stereo setup, but it's not possible with this head because it doesn't have a stereo return. But it sounds really good to me. So let's try out some of the effects. What do we have here? Modulation phaser. Yeah, I think they know what they're doing. The what do we have here? Because Boss is famous, of course, for great effects, and yeah, obviously they could do it in the 90s already. Flanger. Can we cut the highs a little bit? Gate. Gated flanger? Okay. Out meter. I'm not very familiar with flanger effects because I think I've never used the flanger. What else? Phaser, pitch shifter, harmonist, vibrato. Let's disengage the overdrive. vibrato. Trigger. Oh, trigger auto. Rise time, rate, depth. Outmeter. Like vibrato sounds. Let's save it. Now I dial back the gain here at the guitar. So maybe we should dial back the gain in the preamp. Or we can just try out another preamp. So which preamps do we have? We have the 5150. Then we have Soldano lead, but I'm looking for more of a traditional thing. We have the Marshall 9059 Plexi. That's maybe nice. Plexi 2 and 1-2. It's maybe the I don't know. It's maybe the high and the low together. Let's see how this Plexi amp sounds boosted with an overdrive. Or maybe with a distortion, because we need more gain in this amp. So let's take the turbo distortion. The distortions here in this unit, they have also bass, middle, treble control. Only bass and treble control. At least this one. Turbo distortion. And a drive control. So let's use more drive. And in the preamp I would like to, well, bass, middle, treble. Okay, let's take the 1 and 2 together and set bass, middle and treble everything to 50%, so the range here is from 0 to 100, so basically everything in the middle. Would be that. It's maybe a little bit too mid-heavy. Let's check out the other models, the 2 and the 1. And the scratchy, let's take the 1-2 model and reduce the mids. Does it have a presence control? Okay, and maybe let's crank the treble a little bit. Obviously, this preamp has tons of gain if you're using both the overdrive and the preamp section. But I personally like the overdrive a little bit more than the distortions. It has distortion and overdrive models here, and this is a turbo overdrive. Let's see how the turbo distortion is different. Turbo distortion. Similar, but just more gain, as expected. Okay, I think to me these Marshall models, they're quite a bit mid-heavy, so I'd rather like to have. Okay, now I cranked the presence. The treble took off all the mids. Let's reduce the bass a little bit. Maybe a little bit too much of these presence frequencies, the treble frequencies. Okay, let's check out another preamp model. What else do we have? Well, we have a clean one, which is called the JC120. Maybe you know what that is. It's maybe Roland Jazz Chorus. As you may know, it's Boss companies, so I think they should know how this thing sounds. And interesting. What I found interesting here is that it has also some distortion, but of course it's more or less known as a clean amp for clean tones, like maybe Metallica, Nothing Else Matters. Chorus. Or does it have chorus in the preamp section? No. Okay, bright. Let's turn the bright on. Gain low. This preamp section has also 3 gain stages. So gain low, middle and high. But I'm using now the low because we want to have a clean tone. I got some clipping here because I cranked the presence and I'm using the bright mode. Let's check out the chorus. Still clipping. Maybe I would disengage the bright. Okay. Okay, low. Cannot get rid of that distortion here. Of course I could maybe reduce the input here. But to be honest, I don't know exactly where the distortion is happening now. Or maybe it's power amp distortion from the amp power amp section, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Which other preamps do we have? We have another clean preamp, I think. Which was a twin, clean twin. Also nice. Match drive. Okay. And we have BG lead, which is not a clean amp. I think I have another preset with that. This is just a BG lead preamp without any overdrive boosting it. Okay, let's go back to the PV preset, which was my favorite now. Maybe we can add a little bit more mids. By the way, the noise gate is working really fantastic here, I think. Because it's turned on, don't hear any background noise, but it doesn't affect my playing at all. And yeah, the fact that this unit is that old, it's really great working, I think. Doesn't have 100 different amp models, but the ones it has, it's I think really more than enough. And yeah, compared to a tube preamp, it's it sounds a little bit different. I think a little bit artificial, to be honest. But for high gains, especially if you're playing through a tube power amp into a 4x12, I think you can get great results. And yeah, as these things come ridiculously cheap, they have a great effects section and an effects loop. They're very flexible, so I can still recommend these things, either for the 4-cable method, as I told you before, but also for using it as a standalone preamp with a power amp, tube power amp. And yeah, it has some more effects, but we're running out of time, so I hope this helps you to get at least a first impression of this thing. You can get them used, I think. So yeah, please post your questions or comments below and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.